You can island hop.
I see somebody watching World News tonight. If I can't watch it, you can't watch it.
All they talking about is Diddy. You need
Diddy, I know.
Yeah.
I saw
What
it.
happened?
I have it on in front of me. They're raiding his compound or whatever. Oh,
Really?
they're
man.
raiding his homes all across America.
Wow.
Yeah, I said compounds. Yeah, his
Why?
LA and
Accusations of drug trafficking, sex trafficking, and probable
Oh.
cause.
I didn't hear drug trafficking, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's all probably whatever they find. That's what they.
Wow. I mean, I guess one topic, well, you're live now, but I think one topic could possibly the community and Forest Cove coming down and what that means for the community.
Well, they got to pay them reparations for it. It's not funny, but
You,
they found asbestos in every part of it.
yeah, so hopefully that class action lawsuit is still going. And we'll
Oh,
go
there is
through.
one. There's one already going.
Mhm.
For what's the reason for that? For evicting people or for what? Or for asbestos? What is
For
what is it based on?
the quality of the units. So I would say asbestos would fall under what the
Oh,
lawsuit is about. Yeah, because
okay.
I've mentioned it to Sarah Lynn and suggested that she make sure her name is on the list.
I sent you all the piece from First Baptist. I looked at their service last night. They're really pumping the thing they're going to do in Atlanta. That they're calling it the Atlanta takeover.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Bienvenidos.
Bienvenidos. And so another edition. Welcome to Monday Night Live. We all are members of Bible Way Ministries International in Atlanta, Georgia. Feel free to join us in person, or you can just join us here. We're actually live as well, our church service at BWMI .faith, BWMI.faith, if you want to see how we do our church service. And but Monday Night Live is just an opportunity to discuss current events or service, previous Sunday, the message, whatever's on your heart, whatever you're happy about or something that troubles you. Either way, we can definitely discuss it. And if you're not on yet, you're looking at us on Facebook or YouTube, come on and join in. I guess I need to share the code.
I am not alone.
But you are not alone. You are not alone. So
Cookie
you can make
wants to say
comments.
hello. Cookie wants to say
Oh.
hello. Come on, Cookie. Come.
Thought you were about to bust out in song.
Yeah, you are not alone.
Oh, look at Cookie.
Cookie, look at the camera.
Looky, looky, looky. Here comes Cookie.
Okay, they've
She's
seen
gotten
you.
pretty big.
Yeah, I'm gonna find. So this morning while I was walking, I'm gonna see if I can share this on my phone.
Okay, Cookie. All right, that's enough, sweetheart.
That's enough.
Look
That's
at mommy.
enough.
Mommy's on the camera. Look at mommy. Look at
She's
mommy.
in her favorite place.
So, y'all hear that?
Hey, what are you doing, girl? Hey, girl.
Okay.
Is that you? Is that you with the dog again?
Yeah. So this is my neighborhood. I'm trying to walk through the neighborhood,
Okay,
and
Baby. Hey,
good.
baby. Hey, girl.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Is that a pit bull? What is that though?
it's a pit
That's what I was about to say.
that I don't
Wow.
know.
But she liked you.
Yeah,
No, it's not likes. No, incorrect. You're reading that wrong.
it's a
She is
pit.
barking at me.
She's barking and running.
Yeah,
But she-
because
but
I stopped to try to be friendly with it so it doesn't get any more aggressive. This dog was aggressive. And here's the thing. This dog barks at me every time I walk past the house, but it's usually gated. This dog and another dog was on their yard, in their lawn, without the owner. I've never seen this before. So the hair stood up on my arm when I see him barking at me, but not gated. and then he ran across the street towards me to bark at me. I was like, let me film this because I'm this is ridiculous how many times I get approached by dogs in this neighborhood. Supposed to
You
keep
should-
your dog on a leash.
You should run with some doggy treats.
You know, I thought about that, but I don't know if that I don't know if
It
Then
will
he'd be the
work.
Pied Piper. They'd all be following him
I
every
know,
morning.
right? Right.
It will work. They will expect it, and they won't be aggressive like that.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. I guess you would know best. So, but I don't appreciate it at all. I'm
No,
really
I don't like it either. I think they're not sociable dogs. They have bad.
It's not even about the breed. I don't care about the breed. I don't want
Oh
no
no, I'm
dog
talking
barking
about
dog.
dogs in general. I'm not talking about
Oh,
the breed either.
yeah. Right, right.
Yeah, Malcolm had a very sweet pit bull. I mean, well,
Yeah.
they can be sweet. Yeah, no, it's about dogs who've not been socialized well.
Right.
We have
This
we
was
have
a-
some of those here where we
Right.
live.
Right, right. Yeah. So here's the thing. I seen the owner walking both of those dogs, and you know, it's in passing. I said, hey, you know, I'm a good neighbor. Hey, I said, yeah, I said, I'm not scared of nothing, but they bark at me every time. He said, well, this little one is the problem. And I was like, yeah, I understand, no problem. And that was it. That was like a week ago. And then today they both free. So I'm just like, where? And I'm like, they don't hear their dogs barking at people outside. Like, where is everybody? Oh.
You sure they didn't bury the You sure they didn't bury the owner in the backyard?
Right.
I
He was
hope
getting
not.
suspicious.
Yeah, I hope not. I was gonna post that online, and then a friend said, "Oh, Cal, don't do that because then if it goes, you know, well, there's no reason for it to go viral. But something about interrupting my neighbors and my relationship with my neighbors and all of that." And I'm just like, ain't nobody tell them to have their dog free roaming. I mean, anyway, all right.
No,
I'm
I
sorry, y'all. That
I
just
don't
happened today.
I don't think that's cool. I think you got a great point. It's not cool. It can be
not cool.
dangerous.
It could be. He was barking at me in close proximity, but because I was going, "Hey, girl," and I was trying every time I bent down to try to come to his level a little bit, that's when she or he turned away and
Yeah,
tried to
it
run
can be
back.
a serious thing. It's not a light thing because if you know, God forbid you should get bitten by a dog, that's serious.
Well, God forbid it was a kid running
Yeah.
to school and not me, and the dog felt a little more powerful because it's the size of a, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Good point.
So what do you have on your mind? Oh, Centero's joining. So we can actually pick
Yeah.
up on that one if you want to.
There's always a lot going on in our world. Diddy is in the news, Trump is in the news, Boeing is in the news. I think that affects all of us because we all travel. I'm curious if anybody's paying attention to what's going. I follow the travel industry and I follow the airline industry. I follow Boeing. I follow Airbus, and it's just really a mess because there's some long-term problems that it's going to take a while to figure out, and it's not a simple fix. It's like an airline can't say, "I'm not going to fly Boeing planes anymore." I mean, it's a long pipeline to order a plane and get a plane, and both Airbus and Boeing are backed up. In
Well, you
terms,
saw that the leaders
Yeah.
stepped down.
yeah.
The CEO.
Well, yeah. I mean, kind of. Some of them have stepped down. The CEO he's stepping down at the end of the year. He says he's going to stay to fix this problem.
Fix the problem. Keep my paycheck for another year.
All right.
But one of the most telling things about this is that they had outside monitors come into their meetings to see how they're running the company, and the overwhelming sentiment was that their focus was on production and not safety. Their focus was on making money, production, not safety. And so we see that.
And you know, that's crazy when you think about the fact that, you know, airline crashes and all that stuff. That's kind of almost, you don't hear that in the US anymore. So it's almost like they feel like, oh, it's not going to happen. They've forgotten about the times of the Concorde and all that stuff where, you know, AirTran and all that, where planes were crashing. And it's like, okay, do we want to go back there for y'all? And I don't understand how they can fail their audit and it's like there's no major whistle. Like,
well, I mean, it's so convoluted. The FAA was so loose with Boeing, they allowed Boeing to perform some of the safety audits. I mean, what industry does that happen in? So, of course, that's not happening anymore. But That's part of where the problem came, particularly with the two fatal crashes that killed 346 people. I mean, that really was etched in my mind that these were brand new jets, 737-800 MAX jets, and they just didn't tell the pilots how to fly them. They didn't give them a detail that's buried in the manual. That when you pitch the aircraft up, it pushes I mean, they could have shared that with the pilots. And says to me, Boeing had blood on their hands, and they cut a deal with the government to delay criminal prosecution. I mean, there's just so much in terms of the drama and corporate outcome and the impact to just the everyday person. So hopefully this is a path of getting it right. Yeah, but
it seems like quality of an airplane would be high top priority. Putting bolts on the doors seemed like that would be an important step not to miss.
So on that point, the reason there's a criminal investigation is because they have found out now that the plane came from the factory without the bolts. Get this. I mean, when you dig into the details of the story, it gets like, how? Paying hundreds of millions of dollars for a jet, and people are looking at it, and how does that happen? That's why it's a criminal investigation, though. Anyway, it's just mind-boggling. So
scary.
And we all fly. I mean, most of us fly, so I mean, it's a concern. We fly Boeing jets. So anyway,
yeah.
Thank God that we believe we're covered.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah. Anyway, what's on you all's minds, Wanda and Kathy and Centero and Calvin?
Centero, what was the name of that Facebook page where they were advocating for just a new way of work? We finished last week talking about. I know you're driving.
Oh yeah. So the fire movement is the one that I follow. And they their whole thing is rethinking retirement and the American way of retirement, where you wait until you're 65 to call it quits. So their whole thing is, start early, save, invest, keep your overhead, expenses low as possible, so that you can get out of the rat race per se as quickly as you can. So, and what I'm seeing is a lot of financial people, and this seems to be the rule. So once you reach a level where where you can live off of 4% of your investments, then you know that you're at a point that you can retire. So they have, and that seems to be pretty much the rule. So that's pretty much what the fire movement, that's part of their thing. It's like, once we've invested enough money to where we can live off 4% of that. And the rule is that, I guess, like once you save up 4%, once you're at that point, you should have enough money to last you for the rest of your life. So a lot of the people who follow the fire movement, a lot of them are aiming to retire like in their 30s or at least by their 40s. They're 100% not trying to wait until they're 65 to retire.
Right. And
so it's interesting. So I follow them on Facebook because I actually learn a lot too. And I can send you, when I get a moment, I can send you or I can just send you like one of those requests to join the group, the fire. Yeah, it's called the fire movement though.
Okay.
And you can look it up. It's kind of, it's gaining popularity. I forgot how I stumbled upon it, but it's definitely gaining, a lot of momentum, because a lot of people are like, we're not trying to wait until we're 65 and follow the traditional way of retirement. Like, we want to be able to enjoy our lives while we're still young. And one of the things about the fire movement is that they preach buying back your time freedom. So they preach like time freedom, location freedom, and just freedom to be able to make your own choices that are not tied to a job, So a lot of these people do have traditional jobs, but they are trying to make decisions while they're young so that they can like get in, like I said, and get out as quickly as possible.
Ooh.
If that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, you can't see this because you're driving, but I shared a link to Investopedia has an explanation of FIRE, which is an acronym for Financial Independence, Retire Early.
Retire early, yes.
Yeah, FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire, and it explains it on the link that I shared. But I'm definitely, send the invites to us and. Or to me,
I'm all for that.
Oh, yeah.
I
Are
used
you
to.
into that? Are you into that, Kathy?
I've not heard of that group, no, but I'm all for the whole concept because I would tell people, I used to tell people I'm semi-retired and they'd look at me like I was crazy. My family thought I was just out of my mind when I told them I was just going to quit my job and, do something else and not do that. But I kind of got to a place where I was like, there was the God concept of, leave your job, but it was also in me where I felt like, so wait, I'm supposed to just do this and work all these hours, like be controlled, like you have your 2-3 weeks off that you get, and you just do this over and over and over until you're 60, 70, and then you live like that. Just I was like, I don't want to do that. No matter how good the money is, it's like it just didn't feel worth it,
Yeah, and I said, gosh, I wish I had known more about this concept when I was, a little younger. But I do like, what they how they come about it. And they have different ways to fire too. Some people, they have it. I think I have a chart that breaks it down. Like they have something called fat fire. And like, there's another term too. So some people may not be at a point where they can retire 100%, but they may be able to just take, lean fire. Yeah. There's fat fire, lean fire. And so some people may be at a point where is it barista? Okay, barista means I think you may still can work like a part-time job, and that will get you through. But you don't have to depend on, a full-time job to make to make ends meet.
Yep. No, I love it.
And I just think that, and I just started thinking like this is something that we need to start trying to drive home to our, like younger people in our family, so that they can start thinking about that. So like their whole thing is, do you really need the most expensive car? Do you really need like the biggest house? So they're like, there are ways that you can, live more frugal, like you don't have to give up everything. You still got to live. But a lot of the toys that we all like, you really don't need all that stuff. Now that I will be, transparent. I mean, a lot of what they said I've done. But knowing what I know now, I am trying to talk to people, like younger folks in my family to tell them like, you really need to think about this. Like, don't go out there, don't get yourself tied in so much debt. Because when you get in, when you have so much debt, it's harder to make moves,
Yeah, bondage.
So like right now, my dad, he keeps saying, won't you buy another car? I'm like, because a car means I got another car payment, and I don't have a car payment right now. And I, and it gives me more freedom knowing that I don't have a car payment. My student loans are paid off. I have credit cards, but they're not, they're not, at the limit. I mean, I can pay them off tomorrow if I wanted to. So it's just like you have more freedom when you think about the fact that, maybe, of course you got to have a place to live. So if you only got to focus on paying a mortgage or maybe rent, and, that's the bulk of, your expenses, so to speak, it gives you more freedom to make other choices, more freedom to save, more freedom to invest. And so we just have to, I guess, get in a mindset of thinking like that.
Yeah. I mean, I
know, Kathy, I know that's something that you have been following for a long time. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. Not just me, but like, for instance, I think Ed kind of started putting that mindset into my head, because even with the house, no one I knew had paid off their home. And he was like, we don't want to keep this house, but we don't want to owe for 30 years. And so we started thinking like that. We don't want to be bound to all the stuff, And so I'm naturally frugal, so it wasn't hard for me to say, yep, we're going to do that. And even now with what I'm doing, I can say I'm blessed because of my field, I'm able to do what I'm doing and do it part-time. Like the contract work I do it, I save the money and pay for what I need to pay for. I need another car. Okay, I'm doing that. I'm paying for the car, and the car is paid for, and I'm done. And you save the rest, or you take a vacation, and you're not bound to the job, because the partners, they're like, you sure you don't want, nope, I am perfectly happy working time and a half. I'll kill the 70 hours if that's what you want me to. But then after I'm done, and I don't have any obligation. I don't have to have the extreme stress, because technically I'm a contractor. I'm going to do my best, but I don't have to feel the extreme stress of somebody firing me or of a review or any of that. I'm helping you and you're helping me, and I'm choosing to do that. So that is definitely something. I was just telling someone on Sunday at the church, because she was like, she wants to, how did you do this? And I'm like, it's so freeing. The less debt you have, the more decisions you can make. I still feel bound, because between that and Bible Way and house and child, you still have a lot going on, but it's not anything that you can't just stop. It's not like if I stop, my mortgage is going to be late, or my car, it's none of that. So it gives you that freedom to make
yeah. And that's what the FIRE movement, they really do preach, like the whole concept of freedom. Like I said, a lot of these people are like, we can choose to live anywhere in the world that we want to, and we're, because we have that freedom to do that, And I also stumbled upon a group. The group is called the Exodus Summit, and these are all Black women who have given up on the American dream, per se, and they're advocating that Black women, take sabbaticals, take career breaks, which is kind of what I'm doing right. That's kind of how I stumbled upon them. And they're just like, travel, live your life, like don't be bound by what society tells you that you have to do. And so those are just some non-traditional things that that people are doing, and they're thriving at it. And this one lady, she's one of the co-founders of the Exodus Summit, and she talks about how she was able to save up like $14,000, but she did this back in 2015. But she said she saved up $14,000. She traveled around the world for a whole year. And she said she did go back to work for maybe 3 months to try to get some things situated. And she said since then, she has not worked a traditional job since, I guess, 2016 or so. And now she's able to monetize like her YouTube channel. I think she's in the process of writing an ebook on house sitting and how you can travel around the world house sitting for people who need someone to take care of their animals, and like I think she was in Costa Rica for a while. Now she's over in Africa, and she just seems to be living her best life. And I'm like, wow. So, and it's not just her, but there's a growing movement of Black women who are starting to do this. I mean, a lot of times we just don't know about, things like that. And so I guess part of what she's doing is exposing Black women to another way of living, per se, So I just think that that's kind of cool, because those are not things that we hear about a lot.
And then there's like the nomad movement, where you have young professionals who they get the jobs that they go after, the jobs that are remote and that you can work anywhere. A friend of mine, we used to work at a firm together, and I saw every time I see him, he's somewhere else. And I'm like, what do you do? Because you're always somewhere. And he's like, I work for a tech company, and they don't care where I plug my computer in. So I take advantage, and I travel, and I work anywhere I want to. And, and it's like, you are working and but you're still able to live. You're not, you're still able to experience life and not just find yourself going from your house to the office to back to your house, stuck in traffic. You're still experiencing life,
Life. Yeah. So there are, and I just think that in this day and age, we're starting to see more people who are breaking away. And that's kind of the point I was trying to make at the end of the, of our the meeting, I mean, Monday Night Live last week, is that there are more people who are starting to find other ways of making a living per se, or where it's not tied to a job, a 9 to 5 per se. And so I guess for me, that's kind of where my mindset is now, because I'm like, it feels good not going into a job every day. And so I'm like, how can I keep this going? So so I'm just starting to explore to see, what else is out there, that's not because I mean, my mindset for so long was that, you needed a job, but there are more people who are living and thriving and who are not working a 9 to 5 job, and I was just talking to a family member today, and I said, I think that things have changed so much, and that companies are not as loyal to employees as they once were, because, you think about, I mean, there were, the boomers, a lot of them were able to retire and, and be able to depend on a pension. But we see that pensions are fading away slowly and slowly they're starting to fade away, and they're putting the burden back on us to save for our own retirement through a 401k or whatever. So knowing that companies are not looking out for our best interests after we finish working for them, I mean, I just think that loyalty that went both ways, it's just not the same anymore. And I just think that, sometimes it's good to try to think of new ways of doing things and not always having to follow the traditional path.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Yep.
I think the pandemic was a good thing for some people who saw no other option but to execute that idea that they've been waiting to do. After the pandemic slowly faded, a lot of people were hiring. A lot of people didn't want to work for whatever the minimum was. I feel like the minimum wage went up after the pandemic because they needed workers. Because a lot of people figured out, oh, I don't have to, go to this place every day, because they told me, so it's very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of options. Yeah, a lot of changes, a lot of options, and the great resignation. A lot of people shifted jobs and made different decisions. Yeah, and it's still going, I think, as per this conversation. But great options, great thoughts.
I have to look at America too, because we portray ourselves to be this great nation of, we're very industrialized, we're capitalistic, we work hard. But when you look at the quality of life compared to other countries, and not in terms of the materialistic stuff, right? Because of course you work hard, you get money, you buy materialistic stuff. But then the quality of life on just a holistic level of people in a lot of different countries, they may have less, but they are less stressed. They are a little bit happier because we just keep going for more and more and more, and that doesn't buy happiness or joy, right? I mean, you think about, for instance, and my island is a tiny little island, so it's nothing compared at all. But on Sundays, everything is closed because everything's closed. If you can't do your banking and all your stuff, Saturday, the banks close at 1:00, or, everything, there's limits. And so people get a chance to enjoy, and everybody gets a chance to enjoy and just go have fun, where it's like 24/7 all the time. Somebody is at work, and it's like the constantness, nothing ever gets shut off. So the pandemic was actually a great thing, I think. Maybe we need a pandemic every 7 years, just not one that kills people.
Yeah.
We need a 7-year cleanse. Not a human cleanse, though.
Yeah, but we're definitely a society that we work way too much. and we wear that as a badge of honor also, where is, like you said, in other societies, because I had a conversation with people over the weekend, and they were just like, yeah, I never take a nap during the day. Like, I'm up. I was like, well, I believe in napping, so I'm the queen of napping. So I'm like, you gotta stop and take a break sometimes, So Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to have a huge to-do list. Like, if I got something to do, I get it done. But yeah, I mean, and the lady is funny because the lady who's like I mentioned, who's the co-founder of the Exodus Summits, her whole thing is her whole goal is to do nothing. She was like, she said, I'm over the whole Black excellence idea because she feels like that's all about the white gauge. And, you know, we're trying to prove something to white people or whatever. You know, I mean, I don't know that, you know, you can take that however you want to, but that's her thing is that she's at a point in her life where she doesn't have anything else to prove to anybody. So
Wow.
she's just going to live her life and enjoy her life, you know?
Yep. And she's happy.
She's happy.
Yeah.
And she'll tell you how to
Yeah.
do it for $19.99.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know. Yeah. But yeah. And I'm telling you, she's literally at the point of writing an ebook right now. So yeah. But her ebook, like I said, is about the concept of house sitting and I guess how to go about doing it. But you know, there are plenty of websites out there for people who are interested in doing house sitting.
Yeah. 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 There's some people who seek those opportunities, have a network, have a way that they find opportunities and they work. They can be helpful, lucrative, mutually beneficial. Yeah.
My sister,
Yeah.
when my sister was in Atlanta, even when she was in Denver, she had a very lucrative dog sitting business.
All right now.
She gained a reputation on whatever the website was, and she just kept work. She stayed busy. She loves pets. She loves animals, and she had regular clients. So I mean, it's stuff like that people, when they find what will people pay me to do, you know,
Yeah.
Uber, dog sitting, deliver their food for them. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if somebody would pay me to just watch their mansions while they go abroad so that nobody squats in them or something like that. I can watch your mansion.
Probably.
If you pay me to squat, then nobody else can squat for free. How about that? I'll leave when you come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, isn't that crazy how that's becoming a thing now? I keep seeing it on the news that people's houses, they're just going in there and squatting. And this last one I saw, they were apparently the house had the code for the lock because it was owned by a corporate company that rents all these homes, and they were sharing the codes. And I'm like, well, why can't they just change the lock? Why can't they just change the type of locks they use to stop people from being able to enter so freely?
Yep.
Seems like an easy solution.
Yeah, the laws are so strange. I saw they did a piece on 60 Minutes and they had the cameras recorded the homeowner being arrested for changing the locks because she had to go to court to get the squatters out. It's just, and she's telling her story as they're handcuffing her and arresting her. It's
ridiculous.
Yeah, but you know, like, well, you know, I do Airbnb, so that's like a thing. A lot of people who do Airbnb, they do not allow folks to stay in their house longer than say 28 days because they don't want someone to move in, you know, to come and rent for say a month or so. And then they can start like, you got to go to court to try to, you know, evict these folks, you know, and you could get into a situation where it's considered an illegal eviction if you just come in and change the lock. Like I've actually had like 2 situations before where I was really scared that I was going to get it, you know, have to go to court to get these folks out my house. But in both cases, I did not. It all worked out. I praise God for that.
Praise God.
But like with Airbnb, you pay, like I pay all the utilities. So if someone decides like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to take us to court to make us leave, then I cannot even, you know, I can't turn the water off. I can't turn the utilities off because if I do, I would be in violation. And I know it sounds so crazy, but yeah, I mean, those are just things that you really have to think about, you know. And sometimes people want to make like, you know, act like the landlord is the one who's the evil person all the time. But you have people who they know the law and
They
they
know the
will
law.
use it to their advantage, you know? And
Mhm.
so the state of Georgia, I do believe they are trying to make it now to where squatters, right now it's considered a civil issue versus a criminal issue. And
Mhm.
I don't know where it is right now, but I think the House did pass, the state House has the ordinance where they're trying to make squatting criminal instead of just
Mhm.
a civil case,
Yeah.
because it's becoming more widespread because people, know that they can skirt the law and that if you
Mhm.
have to go to court, they can have a place to live for 3 or 4 months before you get to court.
Yep.
And
And
it's nothing that you could do about it.
I saw in the news. Good evening, everybody. How's
Hey.
everyone doing? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm in the car again. Of course, this is my second home. But anyway, I saw on the news, I think this week, or maybe at the end of last week, where this Decatur guy, his husband and wife that lived in Decatur in their home, and someone filed a quitclaim deed claiming that they bought the house through foreclosure, and the police arrested the homeowners because they wouldn't leave. And
A
I was like,
77-year-old man.
77-year-old man put him in handcuffs because he would not leave his home that he's been in for over 20-some years because somebody filed a quitclaim deed claiming they bought the house through foreclosure.
Wow.
And I just thought that was ridiculous. And it kind of reminded me, my grandmother lived in Daytona Beach and has been in her home. She passed away a few years ago. She's had this home for all my life. And her son, my uncle, lived in it last. My uncle was found deceased in the house.
Oh, wow.
And some guy, this happened about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Some guy did a quitclaim deed, put the house in his name, and sold it to an investor for $70,000. And my aunt just got the house back like a year ago. But she had to go through a lot of red tape to get the family house back because some guy did a quitclaim deed, sold it for $70,000. We talk about an almost $400,000 house.
Wow.
He sold it for $70,000, and the investor knew the house was valued way more than $70,000.
Wow.
And but they bought the house. My aunt found out about it, and she went through a lot to get this house back. She went through a lot.
Wow.
Including the court was trying to make her pay back to make the man whole who bought the house for $70,000, make him whole by giving him $70,000 because he lost out on his investment. It's like ridiculous.
I was wondering, Lula, you were telling a story if they caught the guy who did the initial fraud.
They did catch the guy who did the initial fraud, and my grandmother's house is like the third house he's done that.
Wow.
Yeah, and they finally caught him, and he told who he sold it to for $70,000. And the investor wanted to be made whole, so the court was making my aunt make the investor whole. So it was just a lot. My family went through a lot with that, and she finally got everything resolved last year.
Yeah. Oh.
So,
but Lula, how were they able to do a quitclaim deed? Was it a tax issue or? Yeah, how did they do the quitclaim deed?
No, there was no tax issue. The house is paid for, the taxes are paid for. And that's what we could not understand. How can this, and it had to be somebody on the inside helping. It has to be inside work. Yeah. Because like I said, this was not his first house.
Wow.
He did a second house in my grandmother's same neighborhood. He did another family the same way. And the third house was in a different neighborhood, still in Daytona, but not in my grandmother's neighborhood. But we're thinking he had to have somebody on the inside helping him with it because my grandmother's house was his third house.
Oh, wow.
He's just taking people's houses and selling them to whoever will pay him the quickest. And he's not even selling them trying to get a whole lot of money. He's just trying to get money. And investors see a house they know the specs on these houses. They can pull it up, see what this house is valued at. And $70,000, they're getting a steal. So I feel like the investors whoever's buying these homes, especially if they're legitimate investors, they should be held accountable too, because you know the value of this property.
Yeah. One of the realtors I ran into who knows about these schemes, he called them buzzard investors. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
For a while, they were like calling everybody like crazy, right?
yeah.
Trying to-
Yeah.
Especially certain sides of town.
yeah. Ed just showed me this house, and I don't know, I think it's down the street, down in East Point, like 1,200 square feet is on the market for $369,000. And I was like, what? Crazy.
Wow.
1,200 square feet. But you know, it was redone inside. It was redone inside. The pictures look really nice, but you know, but 1,200 square feet.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah.
So I want to shout out to some of our Facebook friends real quick.
Please do.
Mary Alice, says good evening, Bible Way. Bruce Beasley, the Beasley's watching. Hello,
Hey,
Bible Way
sir.
family. Valerie Ragland says hello, Bishop, Wanda, and the Bible Way family.
Amen. Thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
Laverne Bowden just popped in. She says
Hey,
hello.
Laverne. That's one of my Cleveland people. Yep. So this is Holy Week. Any thoughts on any special traditions anybody has, a family has, or for Easter or for Holy Week, Good Friday, Maundy, Thursday, Holy Saturday? We're looking forward to a wonderful dramatic play. And we got one of our leading actresses as a part of this. I don't know if she wants to break it down and give us a teaser. Acts of Faith drama team member, leader,
Whoop, whoop, whoop,
co-leader.
whoop.
Make some noise.
Co-leader.
She like, you give me another job.
That I
We need
found
a
out.
snippet. Don't we need a snippet?
Yes, let's have some dramatic lines. I love the name though. I love the name, Acts of Faith drama team. Acts of Faith. You muted.
Oh darn, you missed it. It was great too. Now I mean,
You muted yourself. See, you playing around.
apparently I'm not supposed to talk about it. I don't know. I'm only a co-leader. I gotta get the director's permission to talk about the play before the play comes out.
That is funny.
Great acting. Well, I can tell you that I have some work to do this week to prepare for that service. Mark sent songs for prayer to put together like a playlist. The play has a lot of musical cues and sound, so I'll be putting that together this week. But yeah,
nice.
I got a sneak preview, and it's going to be another powerful performance and ministry from our.
Yeah. It basically goes through Holy Week. Basically, it's the life from the time he's 12 to the time he's crucified. So it's, you know, and we try to condense it into time of service and with all the other things. So, you know, we're hoping, as it normally does, with God's help, it comes across as how it needs to.
It's got some of the best actors and actresses that I know. So,
and directors.
I think it's going to be dynamic. It's going to be cool. It's going to have surprises. It's going to have dance. It's going to have pageantry. It's going to have poignant moments. It's going to remind us of one of the greatest weeks in the history of the world. And we certainly celebrate the resurrection. It gives us hope in the midst of what sometimes feels like a hopeless world. And every time I think about what's going on in the world, I think about what's going on in each of our worlds, because there's always something. And, you know, there's always something that catches our attention. If you're into sports, there's March Madness. There's a scandal in baseball. I don't know if anybody's got a bracket that you did for the March Madness for the men or the women. There's all kind of stuff out there. What's on your mind, Calvin? What have you been thinking about?
just when I'm going to visit my parents and my
Okay,
family.
cool. That's a
Since
great thought.
when the holidays come around, I always try to
That's a
figure out
great thought.
when is a good
That's a
time to
great
see.
thought.
Grandma is 92, 3,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in there. So I just
Yeah.
always want to see her as much as I can. So I don't really know the answer to that yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Laverne Bowden asked, will the play be recorded? It will be streamed, so you will be able to see the service and see the play
Nice.
on our
Nice.
Facebook
Nice.
page and YouTube.
And you were in rehearsal saying we got to mic everything so people who are streaming can hear everything.
Correct.
Yeah, what a great attention to detail. Yeah.
And we're gonna hope our camera people like focus on the play.
Yeah. So we'll try to capture everything, even if it has to be a wide shot.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Thank you, Kathy, for inviting the young adults. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
They come to the car like, we're in a play. I'm like, oh, really? Congrats. Well, wow, awesome.
Nice.
If I asked them to do the play, they probably wouldn't do it. But so, yeah, I appreciate you reaching out. Do that more often. When you see them, pull them in, get them to do something, get them involved.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Real cool. Real cool.
Yeah, I was actually surprised at how easy it was because I was like, well, I'm gonna go ask them, see what happens. And they're like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
And then I asked another young man that I'd seen, and he was like, yeah. And they were all excited. And I asked Onika's boys, and then everybody was happy to say yes. So I was like, okay, so there you go.
That's great. That's probably why you're the co-leader. You're a great recruiter. You're a great recruiter. Yep. I want to give a shout out to students this time of year. Students, depending on what level of education you are getting ready for finals, doing final papers. Most have had their spring break, and those in high school who are seniors are waiting. Many of them may have their decision letters, or decision letters are in the process, so they have to make decisions sometimes when they've applied to multiple places. So just prayers for those who have the strain and the stress of getting things done and making decisions, different levels of life. And then there are always the people that we're praying for in our church. Last week we had Elder Will Francis as a guest host, and he had a medical emergency. And he just has a tremendous testimony. Talk about a man's best friend. His dog alerted him to the medical emergency. And he just has I'm going to let him tell his own story, but it's just an incredible story. And I've heard of stories of dogs sniffing out cancer in their humans, literally, but his takes it to another level. It's just a great story. But the good news is he's back on his feet, and he's doing well. We've been talking to him and praying with him, and we are encouraging everybody who's available to come out and join us for our midweek service, where we're going to celebrate Holy Week this Wednesday, March 27th at 7:00 p.m. If you're in the Atlanta Metro, you can join us live. Again, we'll be there at 7:00 p.m. We're also streaming, but you're going to hear the last 7 words. You're going to hear what happened that week, because it was an interesting week. It started out on a high note. We just celebrated Palm Sunday. We had such a high service yesterday, such a great time. The choir, the praise team, the musicians were on fire. The Palms added another dimension to it. And
please watch it online. Yes,
one of the young men, Brother RJ, set it off with an opening prayer. But what is interesting is that in the history of Holy Week, during the first, Palm Sunday, it was great. It's a triumphal entry. But within a week, it would turn sour. The same people who said, Hosanna would say, crucify him. And, Good Friday was not good. It started to go downhill Thursday with the betrayal of Judas, and he's washing the disciples' feet, and he's observing the Passover meal. And then all of a sudden he's arrested. He's taken from judgment hall to judgment hall. He goes through 6 different trials, and ultimately the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, turns him over and condemns him to death. And on Good Friday, he hung there, and he bled, he suffered, and he died. And we know that he was in the tomb 3 days and 3 nights, the scripture says. That's a whole nother piece of the story. People say, how do you get 3 days and 3 nights between? Yeah, we should talk about that sometime. But early, that's how the story ends. Early. It was Friday, but Sunday was coming early.
Early.
Sunday morning, Jesus got up, all power in his hand. We're grateful for that the tomb is empty, and it ultimately gives us hope beyond this life. It gives us hope beyond the grave. It reminds us that death does not have the last word, and that's good news. That's good news. That's what I talked about Sunday. How do you handle staring death in the face? And so the good news is that death has been conquered, and Jesus did it. And so we give God praise. Yeah. And excited about our children. Our children are going to do a presentation during the Sunday school hour. They'll be there Sunday morning, Easter Sunday morning at 9:00 a.m. We're excited about that. I'm very excited. Our children's choir, the Raise of Praise, is my favorite choir. They have just signed a new soloist. She was awesome. Who knew she could carry a tune like that? I mean, I think her age and her parents have been hiding. But they were great Sunday. They sang Sunday. They were great. So there's always room for more for anyone who's interested in streaming, seeing us, or even becoming a part of us and getting involved. This is a great opportunity. And so you got Wednesday, then you got Sunday, and any other time that you want to tune in to any of our platforms and see, as Calvin said, you can see the service from this past Sunday. So, Lady Wanda, you want to say anything? How are you? I see you unmuted.
She's unmuted, but we don't hear her.
Yeah.
Something must be going on the audio there. So, Bishop, we are coming to we don't have a lot of time, but
Sure.
We got a few minutes. We're coming to the end of a quarter. Does that mean anything for you in your world? Do you operate with those type of timeline, milestones? And I'll preface my question by when the year started, this goes to everybody. The year starts, we make plans, and I'm gonna do this year, and I'm gonna do this in the first quarter, or I'm gonna do this in this month, and then you check it, you evaluate. So now we have a week left in the quarter. I feel okay. I'm not sure if I accomplished as much as I wanted to. Very ambitious list I made. How do you feel about your quarter? And is anybody else feeling good about the first 3 months of this year? And what you hope?
That's a great question. That's a great question. As Q1 winds up, where are we? How do we feel about it in terms of the goals, the resolutions, the things we committed to do? So, I think it's a mixed bag for me. I think I was able to accomplish a lot, and still there's more to be accomplished. I'm grateful for our discipleship group. It's really a great group that meets a couple times a month. We meet in person on the first Saturdays, and then virtually on the third Saturdays, and we meet for prayer and then the group. And I think that's been a great experience. We're reading some books and materials. We're iron sharpening iron. We're sharing. We're challenging each other to have prayer partners, accountability partners, and to grow spiritually and to really stretch out and execute some things. And so that's been a wonderful thing. We made some progress on some projects at the church. We've got a wonderful executive team, executive pastor, CFO, both of them are on here tonight. And who run the world? Ladies, women. I mean, we would not be anywhere without them.
No, all props goes to the executive pastor. I'm just on her coattail, but she has been working burning the oil from every direction, holding everything together. So all props. Janetta, you got it, girl.
She has a cape. I think she has a cape. Because we do things, and then the things lead to other things. And so as the layers unfold, she's there to see these layers unfold and to try to keep moving things forward. It's so we're grateful for donors, for helpers, but you need someone who's piloting the ship. And so we're grateful for her and the ability to pray and work together. We got a team of intercessors. Got some volunteers helping out in the office right now. We got a lot of events coming up. We got 2 construction projects we're working towards, and steadily by faith, they will come to pass. And so just excited about what God is doing and the possibilities and trusting God. I led a prayer today. Twice a month, I lead a prayer for pastors with my prayer partner, Pastor Derek Lockwood. We do it live on Zoom and stream it live to Facebook on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of the month. But I mentioned that because one of the things that I was praying about was just thanking God for those who are part of what happens. Sometimes people see the finished product. They see what happens in the production. They see the Sunday service, but they don't realize all that goes on behind it. For instance, you, Calvin, and the media ministry, the 3M team. I mean, everything that people are able to see, you have a part of in terms of our virtual platforms. That's wonderful. It makes us global. And so we never know the impact that may have until eternity. So thank you and your team. So just so many of you. And I call you the A team. We had a SALT meeting. We call it SALT, the acronym SALT, Staff and Leadership Training Meeting. And I started out just by thanking everybody in the room by name. And I'm grateful to be able to know everybody by name, but just not wanting to do a general thank you, but really just thanking people sincerely and not taking for granted all that people do. And certainly not taking for granted the grace of God and the blessings of God to all of us. So any closing thoughts or prayer requests from anybody or from Facebook?
I just want to say thank you guys for the prayers. I wasn't at church on Sunday. I was home ill, and I feel better today. Still have some pain, but I do want to thank you guys for lifting me up in prayer. Scheduled to have surgery on the 18th of April, so continue to pray. I'm just believing God for everything. So.
Okay, that's I wanted to know if you had scheduled it, so I marked that on the calendar and begin praying now. Yes.
Yes, April 18th.
Absolutely, yes. Our niece, Madison Norwood, who directed the Rays of Praise on this past Sunday, she's going on a mission trip to Jamaica for a week. She leaves this week, be gone.
Can I go?
So we want to cover her in prayer.
How come we don't go to mission trips to Jamaica?
Can we get in her luggage? Right.
Nice.
And we remember Elder Will Francis, and thank God for him and that he's recovering well. And any other?
Well, I just want to clarify, you were just using the dog smelling cancer as an example. Bishop did not suggest that anyone had cancer. He was just using that as an example. I just wanted to clarify for anybody who might have watched, or because you put the 2 stories together. I know what you meant, and I think everybody did, but just in case.
Just in case. Legal clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Producer. Appreciate that. Yep.
Gotta keep the pastor out of trouble.
Yeah.
Except when he goes to march and ends up in jail or something, right?
That's
one of the
trouble.
things close to my heart that I pray a lot about is the situation in Palestine. And today there was some news that the United Nations Security Council finally passed a resolution for a ceasefire. They've been playing games and making resolutions, and the US blocked one, Russia and China blocked one. Today, they were able to pass one. The US abstained from the vote. And of course, this did not sit well with Israel or their Prime Minister Netanyahu. But basically, if the offensive in Rafah would go forth right now, there would be a bloodbath. There are 1.4 million Palestinians sheltering in place. Literally, they have nowhere to stay. And so it's just unconscionable, unthinkable of what would happen, just considering what has already happened with more than 32,000 deaths and 3/4 of them women and children. And there's graphic proof of that all on social media, Instagram in particular. But I'm just glad that the world is trying to stand up. Of course, more can be done, should be done, but that the ceasefire by the UN Security Council actually did pass today with the US abstaining. So you have these
So does that,
Go ahead.
I was going to ask, does that mean that they were not trying to tell them what to do? Are they just trying to play the, you know, the fence kind of, so they can't say they voted for it? Like, what do you think their strategy is in not voting or abstaining?
That they did not initiate it, but they did not stop it. So the U.S. actually initiated a ceasefire, but the terms of it did not go far enough in terms of protecting the people. So this ceasefire was put forth, and the U.S. did not fully agree with all of the language, but instead of blocking it and stopping it because of the pending massacre of 1.4 million people, they just abstained, meaning they didn't block it. You have 5 permanent members of the Security Council, and any of the 5 permanent members can block a resolution. And so the major powers are China, Russia, and the US, among others. And so they've been playing games with this. But the US has blocked the previous resolution. China and Russia blocked one a couple of days ago. But this time, everybody supported it with the exception of the US, who abstained, but they didn't block it. So that's good news. Now, the question is whether Israel will abide by it, because it could raise consequences in terms of later accusations or a case for war crimes. But the resolution has been passed, and so we could call that an answer to prayer. A further answer would be just for the safety of those people and for food and basic necessities in the midst of dire need there. So I'm going to pray us out. Thank you all for joining us. God, I thank you for your people tonight. I thank you for those on the Zoom. I thank you for the great comments. I thank you for opening our eyes and our minds and our thoughts to other ways to think about life and living and work and retirement and being happy and fulfilled. And thank you just for the rich voices and information, the website, the information that's been shared. And we thank you for those who are streaming live on Facebook. We thank you for every name and situation that crosses our mind and our hearts that is a concern and in need of prayer. And we lift them to you. And we thank you that we serve a God who's able to do exceeding and abundantly above all that we could ask or think, according to your power that works in us. Until we are able to gather together again, bless us this holy week, we pray now. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Hey, bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you all for
Good night.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.